attire is just so colorful, so gorgeous. Honestly, we just look like little princesses, to be honest, when we come out. And I'm just wondering how much of that formed part of your own upbringing. Did you grow up at any time in Lithuania?
Did so I fully grown up there and I started moving countries when I was in my 20s, studying at university, and then I just found opportunities to live in different countries for seasons, but I fully grew up in Lithuania.
That's beautiful because you're very strong on identity. Your book is very much about finding your own identity. And if we're honest, we find identity in different things, isn't it? As we go on our journey. And the most important thing is that it's grounded in the truth. But I
Mm.
suspect, obviously from how your book has come out and the conversations we've had, it has been a journey for you being grounded in the truth of your identity now. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I think I grew up um, really insecure,
Mm.
not fully knowing who I was in a sense. I was very heavily bullied at school, so I think that didn't help to form just knowing who I am. And Lithuania is a beautiful country, as you said. There are lots of beautiful women there.
Perhaps maybe more appealing to the men. So maybe that's where some of that stems from. But thankfully, also growing up in a family that was quite exposed and then traveling, it does open you up, expose you a lot more, and you become more aware of the other roles or opportunities that you have as a woman, doesn't it?
Yes, definitely. And I think it's also something very like universal when we don't fully feel secure in ourselves, especially women. I've
Yes.
through my travels as well that anywhere where you are, women are aspiring to be something else than they were created to be.
Hmm.
They am from, my skin is very pale, and in my country we value tan skin. So we would, women would spend money and time on tanning, and sometimes it's not very healthy. And then I moved to Korea, and there everyone is crazy about the white skin, and all the makeup products is whitening.
Yeah, this is why that conversation about identity is so important because true identity is way beyond the surface. It's not a surface thing, is it? There's something that
No.
has been deposited in us from the beginning, before the cosmetic engineering occurred. No matter how much we try to fix the stuff on the outside, that thing, that value, that deposit will always be there until we finally decide to go and find it and then share it with the rest of the world. I wanted to talk to us about what that journey has been like for you, struggling with identity and then finding it and getting onto this space where you've published your first book.
I think it's very correct what you said. It's definitely not about the surface, but a lot of things are coming from inside and our own insecurities of, maybe feeling not valuable, not loved enough. And the story of my book is coming off overcoming insecurities from both the inside and outside. Because as I mentioned, I was heavily bullied, and I really just created the sense that I wasn't enough, or wasn't, good enough, wasn't beautiful enough. And I went on a journey for quite a few years. I remember first time asking my sister if I was fat when I was 8 years old. I have a daughter of my own now, and she's 7, and I'm looking at her, I'm like thinking, I was a child and already started having insecurities about myself in the sense of how I looked.
Do you recall why you started having those insecurities? Was it the bullying from school or was it something else?
I think it was a combination of everything. The maybe the very skinny culture in my country, the bullying, probably a lack of affirmation from my own family in a sense.
Mm.
And kind of growing up, I really was very insecure in that area, and even to the extreme that I started having an eating disorder, but I struggled with bulimia for many years, and nobody actually knew because I was too ashamed to tell anyone. which I find that those kind of disorders women are just so ashamed that they don't speak about it. And that's one area where I'm believing for breakthrough for women. But my journey was really that, so I was already a grown-up. I was 23, I think, and I recently became a Christian. And I was traveling. I met the love of my life, my husband now, and I was traveling. He's from Brazil, so I was traveling to Brazil to meet his family for the first time. I was in this beautiful city, Barcelona, in Spain, waiting to fly the next day. And everything in my life at that time was good. I finished my studies, I was working, I had some money, my family was okay. And before that, I had lots of doubts in all of those areas.
Mm-hmm.
But all I could think the whole day was just how fat and how ugly I was. I'm in this beautiful city, exciting trip ahead of me, and I couldn't enjoy any of it. And I had these, thoughts, almost like, I would say, like voices in my own head, just, constantly telling me how fat, how ugly I am, like nobody's is gonna love you anyway. You shouldn't go, you shouldn't travel.
Yeah.
I was walking in the city and looking at every mirror reflection, every window, and just absolutely hating myself.
Wow.
Comparing with every woman I was passing, in front of me. And it was really like, it was a pure torture. I don't know how else to put it. But the evening came, and for the first time in my life, I actually realized that was a lie. Those stuff that I was believing, they were a lie. And at that moment, I didn't know yet I was a new Christian. But now I know that God really spoke to me in that moment, and I just felt like I need to speak out, not just to think, but to speak out and to say that I am beautiful because I'm created in God's image. And at first I couldn't say the words. I'm trying to say them and they're not coming out of my mouth because, for one, they sounded like a lie at that moment. And I really just had to force them out. But the minute I said those words, the minute I said I'm beautiful because I'm created in God's image, those thoughts and, that noise in my head, it was instantly gone.
Wow.
It was such a powerful moment in my life because really it was God's truth that I declared, and it broke years of insecurities, years of, comparison, years of eating disorders.
And do you think over time you've had to keep saying that out loud to yourself, or do you think it was just a one-time thing? From your story, I believe that a miracle did happen in that moment, but I'm just wondering, as time has gone by, you've probably faced different challenges, gone through different stages of transformation. I mean, you're a mom now. Have you had to go back to saying those things out loud over yourself?
I did at a few times. And sometimes I think I was instantly healed in that moment. It wasn't just the thoughts. I never struggled with eating disorders after that.
Wow.
In the next year, I also lost about 50 pounds, and that was effortless. The real healing was in my head.
Yes.
And my body just kind of followed. But yes, there were moments when for example, I got pregnant, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, will I get back into this?
Put on some weight and some baby weight.
The weight and overeating and everything that was not healthy in my life before. And I had to repeat over myself. I was like, no, I'm healed, I'm beautiful.
It's interesting.
I'm created in God's image, and I'm not taking that anymore.
Interesting, that point you've just made about getting to a juncture where you felt like it could all happen all over again, that sense of insecurity or those voices coming back. And I think for everyone, and it doesn't have to be bulimia, it doesn't have to be a sense of feeling insecure in how you look. It could be something else. It could be having come from maybe a broken relationship where you maybe endured some kind of abuse or something. Do you understand what I mean? It could be a disappointment in a job promotion. It could be trying to get over something, and it's constantly just very difficult for you. Sometimes God is trying to take us higher, and we might come face to face with old demons, if that makes sense. Yes. Like he's trying to take us a level higher, and it's almost like a test. Like he's saying, can you remember that demon? You got over it that time. So it shouldn't be a problem now because there are bigger things ahead.
I think, intimidation is always gonna be the first thing that we face before we are about to level up.
Can you say that again? Intimidation is something we're always going to have to face when we're about to level up. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Fantastic.
And, identity, I think, is so, so important. And like, what is your identity rooted in? Is it rooted in, the changing beauty standards? Is it rooted in recognition from others? Is it, what is it that make you feel secure in yourself? And I found that for me, having my identity in God, that's what helped me to overcome not only insecurities about my looks, but many different areas.
Because you keep overcoming other things as well. And it's by his grace and by, authority in your life. I think it's important at this point just